Howdy folks, Matty with Gulf Coast Fit in the beautiful Atitlan Underground here at Tierra Atitlan in an undisclosed village in Guatemala. A village that we will not tarnish or sully by introducing it to social media. But coming at you today with an upper body, lower body split. This is part of a series of videos where I introduce different upper body, lower body splits. For example, we just finished an upper body horizontal pull coupled with a lower body vertical pushing exercise. Just like that video, this is going to be 12 sets in total in this session. 6 sets of my upper body exercise, which today we're going with upper body pressing. That's why I'm here on this incline bench. That's why I've got a pair of dumbbells for my incline pressing variations. We'll couple that with a lower body hip hinge dominant exercise, which will be a hip thrust or a bridge variation. So technically a bridge is where you're on the ground doing hip extensions, and a hip thrust is where you're using something like a bench to elevate yourself. I kind of interchange the two, but I will be using a bench for elevation, so we'll call it like it is, and it is a hip thrust. So I'm going to introduce 6 different incline pressing variations using dumbbells to focus a little bit more on the upper chest. Obviously there's a lot of anterior delts and triceps involved here, but my primary goal is to hit the upper chest from a variety of angles. That's why I'll be doing 6 different pressing variations. And as far as the lower body is concerned, it's all about the posterior, hamstrings, glutes, even a little lower back and calves. But it's all based around the hip hinge movement pattern, much like a deadlift, much like a low bar back squat, much like a Romanian deadlift. But hip thrusts and bridges are very direct and to the point when you want to address a hip hinge movement pattern. So I'm going to start with my pressing variation. Now remember here that you don't have to have all of the equipment that I have. If you don't have a vertical or an adjustable bench, you can use a flat bench or a straight bench. If you don't have dumbbells, well, then you could do this workout with a barbell as well. I am trying to simplify this workout by using the same pair of dumbbells for all of my presses as I am for all of my hip thrusts for the ease of transitioning and needing less equipment. So my rep ranges will reflect just that, because pound for pound, you can hip thrust 2 to 3 times more weight, or rep for rep, you could easily hip thrust 2 to 3 times more weight than you can press with your upper body, especially out an incline. So my rep range for all of my presses will be 8 to 12 reps, and my rep range for my hip thrust will be 15 to 20 reps. So by no means am I attempting to max out and hit absolute failure on every set, but the reps should start to slow down. You might have 1 to 3 reps left in the tank on each round, and that way you can bounce back and forth, transition quickly, fluidly, efficiently, keep the density of this workout high, and work up a little bit of an aerobic effect. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start with a pretty steep incline here. What I'm going to be doing are some Arnold presses. Again, 8 to 12 reps, incline Arnold presses. I like these for the internal and external shoulder rotation aspect. This is also the weakest variation. That's why I'm putting it first while I'm the freshest. I like to have a little pause at the bottom with the stretch. Touch the dumbbells at the top. Pack the shoulder blades tight. Getting tough already. Big breath, big air. All right. I cut it there at 10. Probably could have hit 12 if I was aiming for absolute failure, but I think that would negatively affect the 5 rounds that I still have after this. Got a Bulgarian bag on the ground I'm going to use to elevate my feet just a little bit. Sliding on forward. to adjust my bench down a little bit. Again, you might not have the same apparatus that I have, but work with what you got. Just get it done. It's a general concept that we're going for here. All right, I've got my feet elevated. My knees are open. I'm resting my dumbbells in my lap on my hips here. I'm going to do some frog bridges. Here we go. Now I'm just tapping my glutes to the ground. I'm not resting, stopping and pausing on the ground. Get my hips up as high as I can, focusing on engaging and contracting my glutes, not overusing my lower back. This does tax the lumbar spine moderately, but that's not our intention here. Did 15 to 20 reps. Speed it up a little bit because I want to hit 20. Ooh, big burn. Oh yeah, big burn. Whew. Now, it's not the easiest thing to do hip thrusts while stabilizing a pair of dumbbells on my lap, but again, keeping it minimal with this workout and just getting it done. There's always going to be nuances and difficulties of any training session with whatever you're working with. Oh, that was not the safest way to get out of there. But here we are. Let's keep moving along. So really, I'm not resting more than the duration it would take me to take somewhere between 5 and 8 recovery breaths. Should be 30 to 45 seconds between each exercise. All right, let's saddle up for our second incline dumbbell chest press variation. I'm going to take the internal and external rotation. I'm going to tone it down a little bit. This time we're going with kind of a more standard incline press, which is where you start with a semi-pronated grip and then you pronate at the top. So we start with a neutral grip or a hammer grip and we pronate at the top. If you can, get the range of motion in. Touch your shoulders lightly. Get yourself a pause at the bottom if you've got it in you. Always prioritize range of motion when you can. Focus on your upper pectorals. Okay, I'm going to cut it there. Might have been about 9 or 10 reps. Certainly didn't hit 12. But that means I'm keeping it honest. 8 to 12 is our target rep range. So I'm right in there somewhere. All right. This time, we're going to reverse our position, elevate our feet. And again, my bench that adjusts here. You can keep your bench up level. You don't have to have the same equipment that I have. I'm just doing it because I got it. All right, so now feet are going to be close together, but we're not going to have the hips externally rotated with the knees splayed out. I'm going to keep everything more linear, and that's going to focus in this position a little bit more on the hamstrings, a little bit less on the external hip rotators, a little bit less on the glute medius. All right. Figure out how I'm going to position my dumbbells here. Again, it's not the most comfortable way to do hip thrusts, but we're not here for your comfort. You already know that. All right, here we go. You'll see here the range of motion is dramatically less because of the way I've positioned my body, but nonetheless, I feel the hamstrings and glutes lighting up. there. That was only about 15. I'm gonna bail out. Oh. Again, perhaps I'm sacrificing comfort, such as I could use my barbell across the lap. But one of the points of this video is how to execute this superset using the same equipment, not even switching what weight or what size dumbbells I'm using for the chest presses to the bridges. What I am doing is having a difference in volume. So I'm doing more hip thrust than I am chest presses. All right, so here we are, round 3, going into our chest press again. I'm actually going to put my bench down a notch. Flattening out a bit will give me a little bit more leverage. I'm going to go with a wide grip chest press here. Wide grip takes the triceps out of the equation a little bit. A little more stretch in the pecs. I've still got an incline to focus a little bit more on the superior part of the pecs. All right, elbows flare out wide, perpendicular to your torso. Get yourself a nice stretch. Go for the pause if you got it. Touch the dumbbells, squeeze them together at the top. That touch and squeeze helps your lockout to give you a better contraction of the chest. The stretch and the pause at the bottom helps to increase the tension. Time under tension is king here when you're doing incline chest presses. Incline chest presses are not as much of a strength exercise as they are a hypertrophy muscle building exercise. And it's more of a hypertrophic exercise because you cannot go super heavy with a dumbbell incline chest press like you can with a barbell. Oh, oh yeah. Not sure on the reps there, but I think I was somewhere around 10 or 11. Ooh, Nelly. All right. Set me back up. I'm not going to use the Bulgarian bag this time. All right. This time I'm going to go with a wide stance hip thrust. So feet are flat. Or actually, I'm going to go and have my toes dorsiflexed a little bit. So I'm going to pull the toes back, push with the heels, but I am taking a wider stance. For me personally, this is the hip thrust variation where I feel that I get the most benefit as far as taxing the glutes as hard as possible. More so with the barbell, but that's not the point. I got kind of a wide stance here. There we go, feet out wide. There we go. I like the range of motion on this. I can't even get my butt to the ground. I get a big hip extension with a nice opportunity to focus on the posterior pelvic tilt at the top. This is a great variation to get a paused rep at the top. It's big, a stable foundation, lets you move weight more easily. Keep breathing with it. Big air. Deep air. Oh, it's getting real tough. I'm going to speed them up. Oh yeah, buddy. I think that was about 18. Woo! I'm falling within that 15 to 20 range, so I'm happy about that. Now, if you're hitting 20 every time, that's pretty suspect. Are you going heavy enough? Are you controlling and contracting hard enough? Are you focusing enough to make that weight as effective as possible? If you're hitting the bottom of your rep range every time, or if you're just barely not getting into your rep range, then maybe back off a little bit, or change your technique and approach so that you can get a few more reps and try to get in our target rep range. All right, so this time I'm going to switch gears on our incline chest press, going with a hammer grip or a neutral grip chest press. A little bit more triceps recruitment here, but it's still an incline exercise, so it doesn't hit the upper chest as much as the other variations, but it is a good, well-rounded chest exercise, mid and upper chest. But you will feel the triceps called into action more, greater range of motion because of the increased elbow extension and flexion. Take note of how I kick these up with my knees. Very important to save energy, and it's actually a safer way to start. All right. You always want to start at the top of the range of motion because that's where you finish your last rep. Finish at the top. That means you should start at the top. Otherwise, you actually finish with half of a rep. We're not half repping around here. Going the distance. Whoa. Nelly. All right. Take a few big breaths together, a few big recovery breaths. Inhale, inflate, expand. Now let's go and make our way back down to the ground for another set of hip extensions. Now, I'm going to put my bench down just for funsies. Now, last time we went with a wide stance. This time, and actually I realized I said I was going to elevate my toes. I didn't do that. I stayed flat-footed. But we still got the work done. All right, so this time, I'm going with a tucked-in stance. Feet are closer to me. Feet are slightly narrower, about hip width. They're not together, not far apart, about hip width. Legs pretty parallel, but the knees will be bent more. So check it out. Feet about hip width. Feet are tucked in much more. Knees are bent more. Remember, when it comes to developing your muscles, especially from a hypertrophic standpoint, it's all about geometry. It's about attacking and engaging, recruiting, and demanding that your muscles engage against the resistance from all different angles. And that helps you fill in all the gaps, helps you build muscle where it ain't. And that's what we're doing. We're putting muscle where it ain't, putting strength where it ain't. This variation actually utilizes the quadriceps slightly more, but it's still a hip hinge exercise, and I'm still getting my glutes on fire here. I'm actually pushing through the balls of my feet a little bit more, so try that. Think about pushing through the balls of your feet almost like a calf raise. Ooh, I'm almost out of gas. Oh yeah. Oh. All right, all right. Oh, breathe with me now. Breathe, inhale, expand, inflate. Next up, we've got an alternating chest press. I love alternating chest presses. A little bit more of a core demand because you have to keep yourself balanced from an anti-rotation standpoint. All right, here we go. So you can do alternating presses from the bottom of the rep or the top of the rep. I'll do half and half so you see the difference. I'll start doing alternating presses from the bottom position. It's actually my favorite way to do them. Here I'm at the bottom. I start with a semi-pronated grip. and I move into a pronated position at the top. I'm not touching my shoulders because I don't want to rest the dumbbell. I want to maintain tension. All right, now I'm going to show you the top half. By nature, alternating reps give you more time under tension because the set takes twice as long. Set takes twice as long, but you didn't get twice as many reps per side, since you're only doing one arm at a time. Whew, Nelly. All right, moving on. This time, we're going to lay back down on the ground. I'm going to get rid of one dumbbell. I'm just going to use one of my dumbbells here. And what we're going to do is scooch back a little bit and do a straight leg bridge or a stiff-legged bridge, a hip thrust. All right, hope I'm still in the picture. Got my one dumbbell in place, heels up on the bench, feet fairly close together. All right, now you'll see here, the range of motion is not very great. That's just the nature of the beast here. This focuses on a specific portion of your hip thrust, of your hip extension. Focuses on the lockout portion. Great opportunity to emphasize on your posterior pelvic tilt at the top. Try to get up on your scapula, get up on your shoulder blades. Drive the heels into the bench. You're still going to feel the hammies, calves, glutes, and even lower back. I'm getting pretty fatigued, so I'm actually setting my butt on the ground each rep here, making this more of a standstill, dead stop hip thrust. I'm going to speed it up. Get my 20. All right. Oh, yeah. Woo! Does give you more of a hamstring emphasis with your legs straight. That's because we took out all knee extension and flexion. The more knee extension and flexion, more quadriceps you're recruiting, the more that it's solely a hip extension exercise, the more glutes, hamstrings you're recruiting. And now here we are, just like that. Feels like we just started, but we're on our 6th and final round. So what I like to do is save the strongest variation for last, which is simply a standard incline chest press. Not only that, I'm going to do these reps a little bit more for speed. I'm not getting bouncy. It's not ballistic. I'm not getting sloppy and out of control. But I like to finish aggressive. I like to activate my muscles quickly, explosively, and feel like I'm finishing strong. And I kind of just see how many reps I get with an explosive attitude. There we go. Couple extra reps there was not absolute failure, but I really lost my drive and explosiveness, so I cut it there. Whew. I'd say from a fast twitch standpoint, that was failure because my velocity slowed down significantly, was not moving the weight very fast, which means that my intention is explosivity. I was done so. All right, now for our 6th and final bridge variation or hip thrust variation, we're going to get rid of a dumbbell once again. That way, kind of got the same mindset here. I'm doing these hip thrusts quickly, exploding with the hip thrust. It's kind of like I'm trying to launch the dumbbell off my body. I'm going to get my 20 reps here with the attitude of fast twitch. almost like a kettlebell swing. Hail or hail. All right. Feet moderate width again. There we go. Oh yeah. Now, it's not a very heavy weight, so I can move that very quickly for my 20 reps. But I did not want to struggle with balancing 2 dumbbells while I was hip thrusting for 20 quick reps. You gotta pick and choose your battles. So there you have it. That's another upper body, lower body split. Upper body pressing, lower body hip extension. I like to couple those 2 movement patterns together because they don't overlap or they don't coincide very much. They don't negatively impact each other. So you can couple them and bounce back and forth in a very timely manner without having one muscle group be pre-fatigued from the previous exercise. So give it a go, get the gains, and enjoy.